members of the OG Army. Get those wallets unfolded. Coming up next on the OtherGround live stage, prepare for an eargasm by Passive J and Big Dalton.
Well, good afternoon, and welcome to yet another edition of OtherGround Live. I'm Passive J. That's Big Dalton over there. Say hello, Ryan.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is June the 15th. It is a Monday. And being that it is a Monday, fuck, I just don't really want to be here right now.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It is Monday. Fuck. It's my day off. So, and it's been so long since I had Mondays off while everyone else is working that you kind of threw me for a second. I'll be honest there. For a half a second, I thought you were making a joke because in my head it was Saturday all day today.
Yeah, no, it's Monday for, the rest of the entire fucking world.
Right. Just except for my little pocket of people at my country club. I see the OG Army is forming up in the chat box. It's always good to see you guys. We're going to have a hell of a show. I'm trying to be less radio guy Jay and just more regular Jay, so you'll excuse me if there's more pauses and dead air. I am trying to take the advice of people that told me to mellow the fuck out. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, quit being a fucking tweaker. God damn it.
How did your day go, besides the obvious?
Well, it was the obvious. So I think I got off a call about 5:45, took a piss, and then it was time to do this.
Oh, right on. Yeah. My day was probably a lot better than yours. I did day off stuff. I got my workout in the morning, leg day. And luckily for me, leg day and lines up with a hot tub day because on my day off I can actually hop in the hot tub after the workout. So my legs haven't been sore today, just nicely exhausted. So I've got that going for me. Beautiful day out. Spent the day, taking care of chores, playing a little video games, and petting my dogs. Oh, and I'm spending time with the wife too. I forgot about that part.
Wow, it just sounds so thrilling. Your life, it just sounds incredible.
It is. It actually is, dude. I'm pretty happy with my life. I'd like more money. Who wouldn't? Nicer house, nicer stuff, but that's just stuff. I've got everything I need and what will get me by in my life. A wife that, I love, that loves me, a roof over my head. As long as I can continue paying my bills, I have no issues at all with living this life for the rest of my life. The only reason I'd like to have more money is because I'm always just a little bit concerned I'm going to miss not paying my bills and lose all my shit. But I don't have really high hopes for like the lifestyle of the rich and the famous. I'm perfect. I'm happy. Yeah, so I got that going for me.
Yeah, you run with that, Jay. We need the minimal effort folks out there.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it's not minimal effort. It's just like realistic expectations, I believe. Let's see. I got all kinds of topics because when I did research yesterday, it was backup for in case Serena didn't show up. So I've got it all right here in front of me. Do you got any topics you want to talk about before I get into my bullshit?
Yeah, we always have, at least a few things. So did you see that Ford is announcing the new Ford Bronco on July 9th?
Why does that date sound familiar?
Because it's O.J. Simpson's birthday.
No, there's no way that could be the reason that it sounded familiar to me, but fuck, that's funny, dude.
Yes, they are literally announcing the return of the Ford Bronco to the Ford lineup on O.J. Simpson's birthday.
If we have any of the younger fans, they might not even get the relevance of that anymore. I don't know how much of a household fact that is with the younger generation.
That's got to be a fact for everyone. I don't care who the fuck you are. You don't know the slow chase through L.A. with O.J. and the Ford Bronco after he killed two people? Like, come on now.
It was basically the birth of the helicopter chase footage that apparently in LA is like a daily thing. They break into shows all the time to show the cops chasing somebody and they're them following by helicopter and the news copter recording it. It even happens here occasionally. It's just Detroit. You don't see a lot more as much of that. It's once in a blue moon they'll cut in. for like some pretty good chase footage, but it doesn't happen that often. In LA, apparently happens all the fucking time. And the OJ thing was the start of all of that.
Actually, I thought they were doing that even before then. I think it was just the first time the country really, heard about and or saw it.
Yeah, that might be true because although that was probably the reason that they were up there in the first place. But definitely that made it a national phenomenon. Where before it's pretty much just a California thing. One of the few cool things about California. That's not true. California's got all kinds of cool things. It just sounds like some of their politics are kind of screwing parts of it up.
Yeah, it's just overpopulated and the traffic sucks and all of that.
Right.
But like all of the like living in California stuff is pretty fucking nice given that the weather's perfect.
Yeah, I have a friend that lives in Huntington Beach now, and a friend that lives in Las Vegas now, but lived in Huntington Beach for like 20 years before he moved away, basically for business. So I've heard good things about it. I think I told you that story about how I almost moved to California, but uh, basically cowered it out. What happened is those guys, they were in a band and they were doing pretty good, and they just like on the spur of the moment decided that they were going to move to California because I thought they would have a better chance of getting big there. And basically, like they said, "Hey, you want to go with us?" I'm like, "Wow, I don't know. When are you guys leaving?" They're like, "Oh, tomorrow morning." I'm like, "It's 6 o'clock at night. You're leaving at 7 in the morning." I Yeah, if they would have given me time to think about it, I might have actually did it, but I'm never one to jump into something, a big change like that, without thinking about it first. So my natural inclination was go, maybe not. But I sometimes wonder what would have happened if I would have decided to go with them.
Yeah, you probably would end up being a homeless crackhead under a interstate somewhere.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, because none of them got rich and famous. Although the guitarist is still a musician to this day, and basically that's how he makes his money. He's like a studio musician. He's done actually some fairly big things. He was like he went on tour with like a really big Japanese pop singer as her like lead guitarist. And regularly he's like recorded for Prince before. He used to be at the Paisley Palace all the time. Cool guy actually. But that was the best of it. The rest of them moved on to regular jobs. But they came so goddamn close. Have you ever heard of a TV show called Farm Club?
Nope.
Might have been a little before your time, but do you remember the USA Network? I'm not even sure if that's even a channel anymore.
USA, yeah, that's absolutely still a channel, Jay.
I haven't had basic cable in like 10 years, dude. Yeah, I cut the cord long, long, long ago. Um, But there used to be a show called Farm Club on the USA Network. It was on like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And it was a show where they would have a mix of national bands and unknown talent. I was like the theme of the show actually was kind of like to spotlight a rising talent, but they still had like big names on there to make sure people were still watching. Um, and my buddy's band was on that show, a band called the 20 Dead Flower Children. I know.
That's a horrible fucking name.
I know.
No wonder they didn't make it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the name had anything to do with it, but it wasn't the high point of their music. Yeah, the music was definitely better than the name.
Well, that
And
doesn't
so
take
they were
much.
on. No, not, obviously not. And so they were on there, and the two bands. It was always one local band and then two big bands. So the night that they were on there, the two big bands were Disturbed and Eminem. So so it was so it's not like they weren't given a good chance to have a lot of eyes on them. And they toured a lot. They toured with some fairly big bands, but they just never like had that one hit that attracted like national attention. And
And darn, you
my
lost
buddy,
out of being a hanger-on of a band that never made it. That's
yeah,
it's
exactly.
quite the large loss there, Jay.
Well, yeah, and the closest of my friends of that was either the guitarist or the drummer, and the drummer told me a story about that. He said it was really cool, dude. They pick you up in a limo, you drive, they drive you over to the studios. You're hanging out in the green room, and there's these other big, big bands there. That you're talking with, and you go out and play, and they brought in like an audience to all cheer for you. So they're cheering their ass off, even if they don't like the music because they're on TV, and they went ooh, and there's big titty woman jumping up and down, and he goes, it's fucking awesome. He goes, and then after the show's over, the limo takes you home. I got up in the morning and went over to the restaurant where I worked, bus tables.
Yeah, that's going to California to try to be famous. Like, it just
Yep.
doesn't work.
Right. Every once in a while it does. Some of them, it works out well for it, but the vast majority, for every person it does work out well for, there's literally like 5 to 10,000 that it didn't. Yeah. So,
It's like buying lottery tickets as your form of retirement. Like, that's just not going to work.
I don't know. In certain cases, I mean, I don't like in music. I don't think it's nearly as important to go to like California as maybe back in the '60s or '70s. But today, or even back in the '90s when they were trying it, I don't think it was as important as they made it out to be. But for like acting, in a lot of cases, that's pretty much what you have to do. You can't become a famous actor staying and living in Wisconsin.
Again, it's like buying lottery tickets as your form of retirement.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. But one thing most actors have are a lot of confidence. Yeah, you kind of have to have a lot of confidence, I assume, to get up in front of people and make believe and not feel all weird and awkward about it. So they have to, you don't have another option. If you want to be a big Hollywood star, you have to, move to Hollywood. I'm sure there's other rare exceptions, but that's the career path for almost all of them. So all these big famous people that we watch on the movies today, most of them did that exact thing.
Yeah, and the vast majority completely fail.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. When I said like 1 in 10,000, it might even be way higher. It might be like 1 in 100,000 even get a career. Not even saying like a big movie career. Like they might be like oh god, not the lead, but like just one of the support actors on like a sitcom or something. And that's the best they're ever gonna do.
Yeah, it's a pretty shitty life. But speaking of failure, did you see that the Hertz rental car company is going bankrupt?
Yeah, I heard things about that. I thought maybe they were going to pull out of it, but apparently not. What did you hear about it?
Well, so they're going into Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and the really scumbag thing they're doing is as they're going through this, they're planning on trying to sell $500 million in stock.
Wait, well, you mean just like in the hopes that no one notices that they're going through bankruptcy?
Yeah, pretty much. They're going to put, roughly $500 million worth of stock out on the market, and it's trading for like $2 a share or something right now. But the thing is, with Chapter 11 bankruptcy, common stock are the last people paid during a bankruptcy proceeding. So like all of their actual debtors will get paid first. So basically they're trying to milk $500 million out of people that will have stock that is worth literally nothing. So fuck Hertz.
Didn't I hear something about right after they announced bankruptcy, their stock shot up 800% or some shit like that? Like, so if you spent like $10,000 on stock, you'd have like $1 million or some crazy shit like that. I think I heard something like that on a news morning talk radio as I was driving in, which is weird as fuck. And they were saying it was weird. They wouldn't understand why it would shoot up that much after they declared bankruptcy.
Yeah, I don't know, but this latest ploy is absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, isn't that the sort of thing you think? I mean, obviously it's easy to milk the public for shit like that, but didn't they think people that knew about that kind of shit wouldn't call them on it? Like they were hoping the entire industry didn't notice that shit, not just like some gullible people. I mean, shit. How bad of a strategy is that really?
Yeah, but the problem with stuff like this is like they're going to dump it on the market, and you're going to have all of these just automated buyers that'll just be out there, and they'll pick it up because they'll see like this $2 stock is all of a sudden trading at like 50 cents or whatever, and it's going to end up picking it up thinking that it's going to rebound, and like people without the algorithm to be able to get to the bottom of this absolutely ridiculous move, like it's just going to screw people over is really all it's doing. And they're purposely screwing people over. They're going through bankruptcy, and they're trying to sell things that are going to be worthless.
See it here. I thought this was going to be a story about the good deals you can get on some of their cars. This is a much sadder story than I had hoped for. Really.
Yeah, this is the company itself being absolute scumbags.
Yeah, and really, I guess their attitude is, yeah, we're doing that. The company is going bankrupt. We don't really have to worry about our reputation. We're just trying to get whatever money we can on the way out.
Yeah, pretty much.
assume, right?
Yeah, they're
Wow, that's
garbage
shitty.
people.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. But I heard you can get a real good deal on like a Corvette or a Mustang or something if that's your thing.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to support a dime to that company, regardless if I got a good deal on something.
Wouldn't they just go? See, that's what I don't understand. After declaring bankruptcy, wouldn't anything they get from like selling the cars or selling that stock go to their debitors first, anyway? So it's not like they're going to get the money.
Yes, it'll originally go to like people that hold debt, but you never know how these companies are structuring some of this stuff. Like, are they going to be able to throw like last minute bonuses to like their corporate board and crap like that? Like, there's something else going on there. There is.
Mm-hmm. We're speaking about Hertz, and not the donuts for once, the actual company.
Jay, no.
No, you don't get. No, you don't remember that joke.
No, that was never a good joke, Jay.
Oh, okay. No, trust me, I agree. I was the recipient of many of a Hertz donut, even after I told them I didn't want a donut.
Oh God.
What else you got?
That's about all I have. Like, those were the two things that were even somewhat notable.
Well, you were busy. You had a busy day of like doing insurance stuff to insurance people. So I have stuff too, so you don't have to worry about that.
We shall see.
That, okay, did you see that Jussie Smollett will not be able to claim double jeopardy on his legal case?
Yeah, I give zero shits about that at this point.
No, too far. Hold on a second. I got to put my dog down. She was sleeping on my lap. Apparently, she wants up now. Okay, little dog. Calm down. Sorry about that. Yeah, well, I'm not a big fan of people that make false claims and stuff. So I'm glad to hear that. Other than that, I don't really need to hear any more about him. Part of his tactics to do all this was to get publicity. So anytime I pay attention to him, he's kind of winning. So other than the fact I'm hoping that justice will eventually be served, I don't care about that dude. In the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Let's see what yeah. Okay, let's see what else I have. Oh, I have a friend who contacted me on Facebook. I haven't seen him in 20 years, 20 something years. And it turns out because he's been in prison. And just got out like 5 months ago. He was another person that moved to California. He knew those guys. I'm not sure if he moved in with them or anything like that, but he ended up in Huntington Beach as well. And this is what I feel bad about and odd about, because the entire time I knew him, he was a cool dude. I liked him quite a bit. He was, always pretty cool to me, even in situations where he didn't have to be. He was friends with my brother and my brother's best friend. And so he was who were two people that tormented me on the regular, but he was always cool. Never gave me any shit at all. He moved to California with my brother's best friend for a while, and apparently eventually got messed up in drugs, meth or something like that, and got sent to prison for like a whole bunch of shit, and the biggest one of being carjacking, apparently. So, and I don't know any of the details or anything like that, but he got like fucking 15 or 20 years altogether. And so he just recently got out like 5 months ago. And I always liked him, and he was always cool to me. But I'm kind of uncomfortable with the fact that he's shooting me messages on the internet. And don't get me wrong, I'm not, I don't want him to stop, dude. When you get out of that, when you get out of prison, you need people to support you and get you on track. So I don't want him to stop talking to you. But it was really kind of an uncomfortable feeling for a little bit. Once I started talking for a little while, the old dude that I remember showing through on the messages, and I kind of got over it. But it was a weird feeling. I kind of felt about it. Or kind of, I don't know, almost ashamed of myself that my first thing was, oh fuck, dude, I'm not sure if I want this dude talking to me. I don't know. How do you feel about it? Am I just making something out of nothing?
Yeah, probably. And I mean, you don't got to lie to us. Your first impression was, oh boy, someone's actually talking to me. This is cool.
Okay, yes, that was my first impression. Oh, I was like, oh, it's Tim. And then he wasn't, and he's completely honest about it. I was like, hey, how have you been? He's like, oh, not too bad. I just got out of prison 5 months ago. I'm like, oh, that's right. He was damn, and he wasn't in prison for like tax evasion or something. It was some pretty fucked up shit. But so I don't know. I guess I was making too much of it. He certainly deserves a second chance, just like everybody else, and he was a good friend of mine. So I'm just going to move on accordingly. But have you ever been in a situation like that where someone came back from your past unexpectedly?
Well, especially not with prison. Like, I'm not from Detroit, and I don't have a bunch of thug friends like Passive J here.
Okay, maybe not. All right. Well, let's see what else do we got today. Oh, did you see that there was like 8 people wounded in a shooting outside of a bar in San Antonio? A guy was denied entry, and he went back to his gun. Oh, well, actually, I'm sorry, I'm telling the story a little bit out of order. He was denied entry. Said, I'm a UFC fighter from California. Don't you know who I am? Then went back to his car and got a rifle and started shooting people. Uh, and luckily, while 8 people were wounded, no one was killed. So apparently, he's not good of a shot. And what do you think of the odds there that was Carol Parisian doing?
Yeah, no,
No,
there weren't any bros in that quote, so it definitely wasn't him.
I mean, the odds that it actually is a UFC fighter in any way, shape, or form are pretty goddamn low. Because if nothing else, that story is like 2 days old. So if it was a real UFC fighter, we probably would have heard about it by now.
Well, that and every fighter that I've ever known that has fought in the UFC does not use that like as their calling card.
I'm a UFC fighter.
Yeah, they're not
from
like
California.
Yeah,
It's pretty specific.
yeah. They don't walk into someplace like, don't you know I'm a UFC fighter from California? No, like that's not a thing.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Unless you're visiting your cousin on season 5 of The Ultimate Fighter, then maybe it is a thing.
Well, not even that. He was just playing, ridiculous Garo Parisian being Garo Parisian. Don't you know who I am, bro?
He was. I mean, God, I really was bummed out when his career went astray because I like judo-based fighting. He was good at it, So I enjoy standing throws. That's one of the cool things about MMA. He was one of the few people that did it very well. I don't know. I think were his issues all mental? Did he just not have the correct training he needed to like advance his skills where he should have, and to cover the holes that he probably started off with, only being based in judo? I mean, what do you think?
I'm thinking a lot of it probably was mental. Like you could see he was super egotistical. And generally, if you think you are way better than you actually are at anything in life, you're not going to be successful.
Yeah, because he probably wasn't putting the effort into it he should at that level then. Because when you're really talented at something, it's like the BJ Penn thing. If you're really talented, it's kind of hard to force yourself to train that hard because you feel like you don't need to. One second, I need some water.
But that was the huge problem with BJ Penn is he was so good at everything he tried doing that like he just got bored with everything. Like he's an absolute phenom at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He developed outstanding boxing, but like outside of that, like he never wanted to be the best at exercising. He was fucking Kenny Powers of MMA.
Yeah, that's entirely true. And then and I don't know how true this is, but supposedly he comes from a very rich family, and that does not necessarily mean he got any money from his very rich family, because we know that is not always the case. But if he did get a fair amount of money from that, then that also removes another motivation that a lot of fighters have. A lot of these fighters are coming from not much, and they want to, they're motivated financially to do a lot of this shit. So which will make a man work harder if he doesn't know when his next meal's coming from. And if he loses that fight, he's eating ramen noodles instead of steak.
Yeah, I think with him though, it's just more like he didn't like the working out part of it, which nobody fucking does. And he was able to skate by on just having way more natural talent than basically anyone until he ran into like the absolute like freak athletes that also train their ass off like St. Pierre.
Right. And then of course, in general, the sport has been advancing. I think like when I started watching in 2005, with the exception of like the really, really, really elite people there, I don't think any like the regular fighters could compete with the regular fighters today. The sport's just advanced so much.
Oh yeah, that's a young sport like this. Like that's what happens. Like the fights in like 2000 are basically what the women's fights are today. You have people that are good at like one aspect of fighting, and you may have a couple guys that are really well-rounded and awesome, and they're just miles better than anyone, and that's like what you have in female MMA today as far as like Nunes and Shevchenko.
Right, because they're pretty well-rounded. And they don't have any obvious holes in their game. It's it's a lot hard. It's pretty easy for them to just pick the spot that their opponent is not good at and focus on that for the match.
Yeah, they're just levels better than everyone else right now.
Yep. Speaking of levels better, holy shit! My friend Roxy posted the picture. She dressed up in the. She likes to do cosplay. She used to do cosplay at the Invictia fights. For the weigh-ins. They don't let you do that for the actual weigh-ins for the UFC, but she still likes to dress up beforehand, and I think they might let her do it for the ceremony or whatever. But she picked out like her outfit for like and she's a female Dragon Ball Z character that I'm actually not familiar with, but she is fucking jacked, dude. It's pretty ridiculous, man.
Okay.
Well, sorry, we were talking about well-rounded and stuff, and she's one of the few people in the women's division that are pretty well-rounded at this point. Her striking's improved a whole bunch. Her jiu-jitsu's always been really good. Now that she's got her strength and conditioning in order, I seriously think she might have a chance to take the belt. Obviously, it won't be an easy fight at all, but I think people are really underrating her fighting ability at this point.
Yeah, I think you're slightly biased there, Jay.
That's entirely possible.
I see virtually zero chance of her winning that weight division's belt.
I don't know. I bet you she's better on the ground than the chick whose name I can't say.
That's half the fighters in the UFC, Jay.
Yeah, but she's also strong, possibly strong enough to take her down now. And while her striking won't be on the same level, it's probably good enough to avoid getting her head knocked off while she's doing it. And if she takes her down, she has multiple avenues. I bet she's better at both submissions and keeping her in a position for ground and pound at this point. So I think she has a really good chance. The only issue is, will she be able to take her down without getting her head knocked off?
Yeah, Jay. No, I hate to say this. Roxy's been around forever. She's one of the pioneers of women's MMA, but she has zero chance against Valentina Shevchenko.
All right, we'll see.
You also thought Felicia Spencer was going to beat Amanda Nunes, so let's be honest there.
Not really. I saw someone make a Hail Mary prediction on one of those websites. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like it'll be fun to say. No, I didn't. I knew she didn't realistically have a chance. But once again, I was half right. I said it would be a 5-round decision. I just got the
wow. You called a women's fight that was going to a decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Really going out on a limb there, Jay.
Well, they call me Nostradamus.
That's like me making a prediction on an Ngannou fight saying it's not going the distance.
Okay, that is fair enough. Let's see what else we got today. I'm just having a good day, dude. I feel good. My stomach issues went away this morning. I got up with not feeling all that awesome, but over the course of the day, good. I had a steak for dinner. Yay, steak and rice.
Are you eating any vegetables, Jay?
I was about to say on some green beans.
Okay.
It was going to be either green beans or carrots, and I can't stand cooked carrots. I love raw carrots. I'm just not a big fan of cooked ones.
So have some raw carrots with it. Like you don't have to cook everything.
Well, she bought them in a can. I'm like, eh. So I had the green beans, which pretty much tastes like nothing to me, which is fine. I'm not eating them. I don't eat for fun anymore. And it's even reaching a point where stuff that's food safe for me, but like junk food, like she brought home. She stopped at Burger King on her way out and about today and brought me back a couple hamburgers with just mustard and a little bit of ketchup on it because I can handle that. And I took like 2 bites of one. I was like, I don't even want this, dude. It's just stuff. It doesn't even taste good anymore, and which is surprising because I always used to enjoy myself a Burger King hamburger. Not anymore.
Yeah, your life is pretty terrible, Jay.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do? Yeah.
Not even any more Red Lobster for you?
Oh, maybe at certain points. I forgot that I've honestly, it's going to be a while before we have a chance to go. Um, but I can have butter and I can have lobster and crab. So theoretically, that'd be a nice going out meal I could do. Red lobster's too expensive for us to go that often, but maybe once every month or two.
Yeah, you should still go to like someplace better than Red Lobster as your like once a month place.
Yeah, well, like there's a O'Brien's Crab Shack, I think it's called, and they do crab and and lobster and things like that, but they're like twice the price of fucking Red Lobster. I mean, if we're gonna spend like, damn, I guess I won't be able to. I shouldn't have drinks anymore. I used to enjoy getting like a frozen daiquiri or something like that. So, but that'll take $10 or $20 off the bill right there. Um, we would probably spend like $70 before tip at Red Lobster, so call it like $90. It probably costs us 150 to eat like the at O'Brien's Crab Shack or there's also another fancy place called Mitchell's Fish Market, which we've ate at once or twice. Um, but they're way more expensive than Red Lobster.
What's with the obsession with like seafood, given you're not near a sea, so it's not going to be good?
Well, because I get steak and red meat and stuff like that all the time. Lobster and crabs like fancy. It's a treat that I do not get that often.
It's just odd. Like you're not in the part of the country where like you're going to be getting good fresh lobster and crabs. It's interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like
yeah,
it's
I
like
know
the
you
reason
live.
why I never developed any taste for any seafood is like grew up in the Midwest. Like anything that we would get is not fresh and not awesome. So I learned to eat the things that were fresh and were amazing.
Well, I mean, I don't think it matters that much if the lobster died like 1 day ago or 3 days ago. Um, And you can get a live lobster from Red Lobster if you really want, although I feel bad about that. I've never actually done it. Now, actually, no, I don't feel bad about it. It just doesn't seem like enough meat for the meal for the price. I've never had any interest in getting a whole lobster because, I realize there's a little bit of meat in the claws and maybe a little bit in the guts or something, but I don't want that shit. I just want the tail. Matter of fact, don't even, if you bring the whole thing out to me, I feel like I've killed something and now I'm eating its body. You leave the rest of that shit out. It's just an awesome lobster tail. I don't need a lesson on the shortness of life while I'm eating.
Yeah,
And shrimp's just good, dude. Like, although I won't be able to have shrimp scampi anymore. Fuck, it's got a shitload of garlic in it.
yeah, either way. I still just I guess I don't get it. And like you
Yeah.
say that like there shouldn't be much of a difference between like 1 to 3 days or whatever, but like you can tell a difference. Like I can tell a difference between a steak in the Midwest and a steak up here.
Mm.
Even from like a very expensive, like well-reviewed place. Like there's levels to this shit.
Right, but even though you don't get the kind of steak where you live now as when you lived in the Midwest, you still want to get one occasionally, even if you know it's not as good as it would be if you lived in the Midwest, right?
Not really. I don't go to steakhouses here. Like I'll get cuts of meat like sent to me that's good meat and like overnighted and get some like real good cuts. But like there's no way I'm going to go pay a premium for a steakhouse here where I can get the same slab of meat and cook it and it's going to be roughly the same because again, it's just not as good of quality.
Mm. And I do have stuff. I can understand where you're coming from on part of that because at the country club they get their lobster live. Occasionally they'll get a dead one, obviously, but they're shipped to them live, so you don't have to worry about freshness with that. They order their steaks from a private stockyard out of Chicago, uh, so which is where a lot of the Midwest beef ends up at. And it's not cheap, but obviously it's really good quality. I very rarely get their steaks because like they order them, even with it being a restaurant as opposed to retail. I think the steak still cost them like 27 or $28 each. Um, but so I don't get that from the club that often, but I will occasionally ask if I can get some of their hamburgers because they order prime hamburgers instead of short, which you can't really get in retail stores that often. Normally it's choice or select. Um, and they're delicious. Yeah, they're $2 a fucking burger, but they're well worth it. I think they're half-pound burgers, so that's not too bad, really.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't go through a ton of ground beef. Like generally, if I want to go ground, I'll probably just try to get ground bison. A little bit leaner, a little bit better usually.
Right, right. I'm just so used to eating cheap that you know, when you talk about, I'll just get bison. Oh, I'll have that flown in. Like, man, fucking 2 years ago, I was having $5 pizzas for dinner most nights.
Well, I mean,
Uh,
we've all been there at some point in life. It's just like at some point you decide the things that you're going to spend more for and the things that you're going to like skimp out on, right?
right.
Like with me, like so like say like drinks. I don't really drink much alcohol. I drink about a case of White Claw every like week and a half. I have a bottle of whiskey here and there. But other than that, like I don't do soda. I don't really do many juices. I don't do milk. Like it's a whole lot of water. Like for the food I eat, I will always go all out on good cuts of meat because it's where you're getting most of your nutrition. But otherwise, it's like 5-pound bags of rice, like frozen 2 to 3 pound bags of like vegetables, like stuff like that. Like all of that can be cheap stuff, and it doesn't matter as long as I'm getting a really good cut of beef, some good grass-fed butter. Like I'm good.
Right, right. I can see that with like how much of a difference in the quality can there be between like a cheap bag of vegetables and an expensive bag of vegetables, and even an expensive bag of vegetables is not going to be expensive, obviously. The big price differences are always in stuff like the meat, not in like the sides. You're never going to find a $3 bag of potatoes and a $20 bag of potatoes, but you'll find that for cuts of meat. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. Like so veggies, yes, like fresh veggies are always the way to go if you can do it. I just don't got time for that shit. Like, I'd rather just get some frozen veggies, throw them in the freezer, use them when I need them. Like I will absolutely be lazy with that stuff.
Right. Yeah. Well, and there's only so much time in the day, really. I mean, you do have to prioritize what you want to use your time with. Um,
Now, if I had a personal
that's
chef, then yes, the freshest everything.
Oh yeah, dude. I had just said that I love my life and I don't mind not being rich and I'm happy with what I have. Having said that, being rich would be pretty fucking cool. The members of my country club live the life. Our menu is as such that basically we have a set menu, but you can basically customize anything that they order a ridiculous amount. They have like make your own salad things. What you talking about that made me think of that, where you can make pretty much any kind of salad you could possibly think of, anywhere from having like cherries and fucking raisins and dates in it to having fucking meat and fucking shrimp in it if you want it. Just whatever you can think of. And a lot of them eat healthy, but it's a lot easier for them to eat healthy because they got basically a custom kitchen making them whatever they want to eat healthy. They just walk in, order it, sign it, and sign their name.
See, this is for a while there when I was still actively fighting here and there. I always made it a point to date girls that were in college for like different nutritional fields. So like if they were studying to be a nutritionist, like I would always just target them and I would get them to do all of my meal prep. And you have no idea how much easier it is to stay like on a perfect weight if you have someone completely designing your diet, cooking all the food and telling you what to eat and when.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, that would be. I would be loving that. I've thought about buying some of the pre-prepared meals that they send you before, but it's just too prohibitive. If you could give me like something that here, this is already made, throw it in the microwave for a minute and a half. It's a great nutritious meal. You eat one of these 6 of these meals every day. One of the 5 ones I sent you. Yada yada yada. I love that, but they're fucking expensive as shit.
See, I had someone, it's probably 3 or 4 years back now, and it was after I was coming back from an injury, and I found this girl that would do like all my cooking and everything for me. I gave her like, what was it? I think I gave her $500 a month, and basically said just like cook all my meals for me, just as long as we're hitting like so many calories, just like cook all the food, tell me when and what to eat, and spend however much of the 500 you want on the food. Just make sure that it's enough calories. So she was able to find deals on things and get everything done to where she was only spending probably like 250, 300 bucks a month on the food. So she's profiting a good 200 on the top. And I had all my food laid out for me. And over the course of like 3 months, dropped like 20 pounds. Energy level was perfect. Like, that's the way to go if you can find someone to do it.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I wouldn't even mind like just the pre-prepared meals where they give you a plan. You're like, we'll send you 3 meals a day, or they're already ready. You pick out which meals you want, and be able to pick out enough so that I make sure I was getting enough calories every day. And you just get up in the morning. Oh, here's the morning one. When I get to work, oh, here's my midday one. Here's my snack one. Oh, midday, throw in this one. And I would love that, and there's quite a few plans like that. I think Dinnerly might be one. I can't remember the names of their plans, but I've seen at least 4 or 5 or 6 different ones where they want to send you pre-prepared and ready to eat meals. There's another 2 dozen of them that will just want to send you the ingredients for you to make the meal yourself, which would be great if I was retired, but I don't really have the time to fuck around with a lot of food. So the pre-prepared ones interest me more. But fucking God, they're expensive. I think they end up being like $7 or $9 a meal or some shit like that for the most part. And I can't afford to spend like $40 a day on my food.
A lot of those aren't too terrible. Generally, like if you end up looking at it monthly, you're probably looking somewhere around like $500 a month or something like that. The problem I have with them is I've looked at these and like I've looked into doing them before. The problem, none of them are made for a person like me. So when I'm like really getting back into training, and if I add in like a wrestling practice a week or like a jujitsu night or something like that, I'm to the point where I need around 5,000 calories, and they just don't offer plans like that.
I see what you're saying. And even though they might be fairly reasonable to buy, when you have to do a double plan, basically, it can probably get pretty pricey. So like if you need 5,000 calories, the best you can do is buy their 2,500 calorie plan twice.
Right, and then it just becomes kind of a pain in the ass, right? Like having to sit there and toss 2 of their meals in an oven and like figure out combinations that work together that don't end up tasting like shit. And even then, it's still not like exactly what I should be doing. Like normally, what I do is pretty close to what I gave you. So I will generally have somewhere around like a pound of meat ish and some veggies and some rice. I don't have the time to do it every 2 or 3 hours, so generally I try to hit at least like 3 times a day. So generally, somewhere around 3 pounds of meat. Generally go a little bit lighter, like before a workout. Depends if I'm getting up and doing it early or later on in the day. Like there's that stuff in there. But yeah, I'd say like a normal day, you're looking probably right around 3 pounds of meat, probably 1.5 pounds of veggies, and then 3 to 4 cups of rice or maybe some sort of pasta in there at some point.
Right. And even if you could find a plan that gave you 5,000 calories a day, it wouldn't be set up like that.
Right. Exactly. You have the weird stuff that they do. And a lot of them only have like certain options that are things I actually like. Like a lot of these nutrition plan things are like heavy into having a bunch of like salmon and shit like that. And I don't do seafood.
Right. I don't like fish, so I feel for you on that one. Although the tilapia I had last week at work with a little Cajun dusting on it wasn't too bad. I didn't enjoy it per se, but I enjoyed the fact that I could eat the whole thing without it fucking up my stomach. So
well, and most seafood and fish are great for you as far as like, getting your omega-3s and things like that. Like I end up having to take like fish oil supplements because I don't eat fish.
Right,
so like it's great if you can eat that sort of stuff. I never developed the taste. So it's not like I'm talking shit about seafood. Absolutely great for you. It's not for me.
Right. No, I can understand that. I don't like the really fishy fishes, and the tilapia wasn't very fishy, but still, I mean, it wouldn't be my first choice to eat if I didn't have issues with my stomach. But I do, and I can actually eat that. So I just appreciate the fact that it's not something that my employee meal is actually something I can eat. Because a couple days a week, it is not. yesterday was a bratwurst day, and I didn't even fucking try it. I was like, nope, no, thank you. I'm not, as I've mentioned before, I'm not going to try any risky foods on my work days. That's just not a good idea.
That would
But
make
then
me want to
when I
kick a
went,
child. Just like
yeah.
punt a fucking baby if I couldn't have a brat.
Oh, dude, and the fucking, they're the bratwurst we serve at the barbecues. So, these, it's not like they're special ordering food just for the employees so they can get better deals at wholesale. They're just giving us the chicken and the hamburgers and the bratwurst and the tilapia that I don't know if they serve tilapia. Yeah, they probably do. Um, that they would serve at these different barbecues because everything is grilled. They like instead of having the cook upstairs, they bring all this stuff out. They have pre-prepared like macaroni salads and coleslaw and tossed salad with like a little salad pack on the top of the thing. They're all in like disposable containers, like carryout containers. Uh, so you get in line and there's like social distancing spots until you get up to the grill, and then they're on the other side of the grill with a table in front of them. They ask you what you want. Like on chicken day, it's like you want light meat or dark meat, or on bratwurst day, how many you want. And then they hand you those, and you go along the line and pick up like a cookie or some chips or some macaroni salad or whatever they have set out there, and then you go into our break room, which has most of the tables removed to it. There's one chair at every table. You're not allowed to sit at a table for everybody. If there's not a table available, you can't add chairs to the ones there. You have to wait until someone's done eating, or take your food someplace else and eat it. Because obviously you're going to have your mask off and stuff. They're pretty serious about this, COVID shit.
Apparently. And apparently
Yeah,
there's kind of there's been some spikes in that anyway, so it's not looking real great.
oh God, I need it to go away. I mean, yes, for selfish reasons. Obviously, I don't want anyone to get sick and shit like that, but it's a pain in the ass. I don't like wearing a mask every day. Yada yada. I realize, some people have been doing it way longer than I have, since this shit's been going around since March, and some people, the essential workers, have been working the entire time in the public. But it does affect the country club quite a bit. My wife's not getting any money from the card tables, might not for a long time. Who knows? Maybe by the time the COVID's over, they won't want to play cards anymore. On the other hand, maybe
These
the
are
COVID
old
killed all the
people.
old. Maybe the COVID kills all the old people.
Guess
So,
what? Old people
there is
are a
that thing.
renewable resource.
Yeah, but
Give it
shit,
time, there'll be more.
It kills all the old people. It's 20 years before any of the current members want to play cards again. That'll be right when my wife retires, hopefully. But no, I also really hope it ends, because I worry about my members. As I mentioned before, there's a lot of really old people there, and I've worked there for 15 years, 16 years at this point. So I'm friends with a lot of these old people, as friends as you can be with someone who's basically your boss. But a lot of them are really nice people, and they've treated me really good. And they ask after my health and stuff after my little after my little scare. Uh, and I don't want any of these people to die from the COVID. It bums me out that 3 or 4 to 10 of them will die a year, anyways. Depending on the year, we normally go about 2 to 4 weeks between members dying. Well,
Yeah, that's pretty
seriously,
morbid.
yeah, I know. So I know that some at least 3 to 12 times this year, depending on how it works out. Um, Probably more than that. Someone will die that I know, and a lot of them were when they reach that age. Like if a 96-year-old dies, they might have been one of the ones that haven't been to the club in 20 years. Or it might be the 96-year-old lady that I see every day because she's vibrant and hasn't lost a beat and comes and plays cards with her friends every day. You know, um,
All right, Jay, I'm going to need you to be super truthful here. Knowing that nobody from the club listens to this, do you guys have a death pool?
Oh God. No, there's no formal death pool, but we do talk about it sometimes. Not like who do you think is going to die next, but when we see members that are looking bad, they're like, oh, geez, so and so's not looking too good. And sometimes it's very quick. Sometimes it's a gradual decline. But sometimes it's fucking. We had one member that a year and a half ago he was fine. 6 months after that, he had some sort of weird disease, um,
Like Marfan?
no, like cerebral palsy or something like that. But he's never had anything before. I don't know if you developed that late in life. And 6 months after that, he was dead. And we watched him decline from normal to dead within 6 to 8 months, really.
Yeah, this is why I don't work with the elderly. I'm fine not
I
confronting my own mortality every day by watching them just drop around me like flies.
Yeah, but on the other hand, it's encouraging in certain ways. Like I said, I have members in their mid 90s that are, perfectly coherent, have not missed a beat, are still walking around. We had members that were, one of our members at the age of 99 still played tennis every fucking day. I'm sure not very fast, but he played it. I have a member who comes up all the time. She goes, for years and years and years, she go, hey, I go, hey, how you doing, Mrs. So-and-so? She goes, I hate you, right? I'm like, uh, I didn't know how to respond to that. She was joking. Eventually, she stopped that joke because she realized it was making me uncomfortable, especially because she'd do it with other people around. But other than that, she was a really funny person. As I mentioned, it's a Jewish country club. She was a Jewish person. The very first time I met her, what she said to me is, "Hi, I'm Mrs. So and So." I'm like, "Hi, Mrs. So and So. I'm so and so." She got a little bit close to me and leaned in and said, "You know what the worst thing about this country club is?" I was like, "No, man. What would that be?" She goes, "All the fucking Jews," and then turned around and walked away.
Interesting.
Yeah, she's she's a very funny lady, very upfront, speaks her mind. Yeah, she's quite the character. At one time, her and her husband owned, I think, pretty much all the bowling alleys in Michigan, and probably outside of quite a few outside of Michigan as well. Um, so at one point, she was very, very wealthy. Unfortunately, it was her husband that had ran the businesses and had the business sense. So when he passed away, she had managers and stuff, obviously, to take care of the businesses, but she held on to the bowling alleys way, way, way longer than she should have. By the time that she sold them, there was really no value to them because the bowling craze had long since passed. She should have sold them like probably in the 80s, early 90s, or some shit like that. But she held on to most of them until basically they just went out of business and she didn't get anything from them. So she's one of those members that if she hadn't been a member for like 60 years, she wouldn't be able to afford to be a member because they gradually get discounts and senior status and super senior status and all that good shit. So she doesn't pay a lot for monthly dues, just what she spends on, like her half a sandwich and soup while she's having playing cards with her friends.
Yeah, bowling, that fell off a cliff, huh?
Didn't it though? I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I enjoyed doing it. There were bowling alleys all over the place. There's still quite a few here in Michigan because Michigan is actually, I guess, like one of the biggest areas in the country for bowling for some reason. But at least half the ones that I knew of when growing up are gone, if not more.
Yeah, I was never really, much of a bowler. I, preferred real sports. But you geeks in Michigan, I guess you guys can roll a rock at some fucking pins.
I don't know. I mean, I agree. It's hard to validate the calling it a sport when you can, eat nachos while you're playing. But on the other hand, you can eat nachos and drink a beer while you're playing. So, how bad can it be, really? Have you ever actually went bowling, dude?
The last time I went bowling is probably 15 years ago ish.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's bowling. Like it's not that hard of a thing to do. It's kind of boring. Like it's bowling.
I don't know. I guess at the high levels it's probably hard. Like anything else, at a casual level it's no big deal. At the high levels it's probably quite a bit harder. I sucked at it. I was never able to get the ball down to the ground properly. My dad was really a good bowler, like really, really good, like semi-professional good. He used to go to Vegas in the 70s and 80s and play in the tournaments and won enough money to buy cool shit like stereo systems and stuff. But it was hell of a thing to watch him bowl because he was so tall. He'd have to kneel, basically kneel down while while he was, throwing the ball. Like, I kind of hurt one of his knees, the back knee, not the lead knee, would like almost touch the ground because that's how much he had to like bend over to get the ball going. Dude, he threw that thing so fucking hard, and it was a heavy ass ball. I mean, because he was a big dude. He was 6'9", about 310, 320, somewhere in that range. Before his many health and drug woes. So eventually he had to stop playing because his knees went out on him. He said that was a real big bummer for him because he enjoyed doing it so much. One of the few good things of being sick and between the drug things and he had a double bleeding ulcer, which took the fucking life right out of him. It almost killed him. But after that, one of the few good things about that is he had a renaissance period where he was able to bowl again because he'd lost so much weight that his knees didn't bother him as much.
Yeah, but back to you doing it. Yeah, I can't see you really doing anything that requires coordination. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, no. The step three steps, kneel, throw. Yeah, I couldn't get it. I was not a very good bowler. Uh, which is a shame because it's one of the few sports like that where you don't really need depth perception. You know, the pins are never going any place, and you have like markers around you to let you know where you're supposed to be at all times and all that good shit. So I think I might have been able to get decent at it if I was a little more coordinated and I'd practiced a lot. But as it was, I wasn't much interested in it, and the few times I did it, it felt awkward and like I wasn't built for it. But obviously, tall people can do it. As I mentioned, my dad was really good, but then
Yeah, but
again, he's also
we've
athletic.
seen you run, so yeah, the actual coordination
Right.
part, like getting your body to do things in one smooth motion, just doesn't
Right.
seem like it's really a thing.
No, not really. Which is weird because my dad was apparently an athletic guy. I've heard different stories from different members of my family, and I've never heard shit from my dad on it, which is really unusual because my dad likes to talk, but he never really talked much about his military stuff. But apparently, I've heard everything from he boxed in the Marines to he was a Marine boxing champion, and so I don't know which stories to believe, but apparently apparently at the very least he boxed while he was in the Marines. I don't know how much boxing he actually got in because he was in the Marines during Vietnam. Um, so I don't know his spare time they let him dedicate to that kind of shit. But he, you know what, he did tell me about it once because he at one point he boxed the guy that trained um Muhammad Ali, something like a guy named Tiger something or another or something like that. And he said he lost the fight. He said he learned a valuable lesson though. Oh no, I don't. Did he lose the fight? He said I can't remember if he lost the fight or not. But he said he learned a valuable lesson. Is like he said, don't hit a black guy in the head. I'm like, what? He goes, dude. He goes, I about busted my hand. He goes, once I went to the ribs, I did better. But that guy was impossible to knock out. I felt like I was hitting a fucking stone. I'm like, well, that's kind of racist, Dad. He goes, why? Yeah. I go, that's kind of stereotyping. He goes, it's a good thing. I'm saying. I'm like, I don't know, Dad, but maybe we'll table that one.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that one holds true. I've sparred with many a black person, and I don't remember their heads being any harder than anyone else's.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, come on, Dad. Yeah, and my dad was pretty much a left wing sort of guy too, very very liberal and all that good stuff. So, but I guess when you're back from that age, you might get some inherent racism baked in from a young age that you can't really throw off, even if you think you're a liberal guy, huh?
I think the only real stereotype when it comes to that stuff are fucking Samoans. Every one of them is built like a tank.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've ever met any Samoans, but all the ones that you see like on TV and stuff in various sports are always very, bulky like that.
I've played so many of them in rugby, and like every one of them tackling felt like you were trying to tackle like a Honda Civic.
That's funny. Let's see. Oh, look, it's almost time to go. But let's see. I think I had one other thing I wanted to talk about. Can I be self-righteous about someone being self-righteous?
You try, and we'll see where it goes.
Okay. I have someone on Facebook who is complaining that people aren't taking precautions now that things are opening up, and they're afraid that there's going to be a second wave, which I can totally understand. But what they said after that was, if this second wave gets me after all I've sacrificed and done to help this world get through the first wave, I'm going to be pissed. What do you make of that statement?
Well, I mean, it's just one of those stupid thoughts, right? Like people say these things.
Mm-hmm. Care to make a guess what she does for a living?
Probably something that has nothing to do with the disease.
Right. Otherwise, I wouldn't be bringing it up. If she was like a doctor or a nurse or something like that, or a first responder or something like that, I could. It's still kind of a thing, kind of a douchey thing to say. I don't know, but I can understand her saying it. But she works at Whole Foods, dude.
Yeah. Like I understand, and this is the funny thing about the whole like shutdown and like essential worker thing, like
Mm-hmm.
it really gave way to a lot of people either that are like service employees, like getting this ego that they don't really deserve, or people that even feed into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, you're not a fucking hero because you work at the Stop and Shop. You work at the Stop and Shop because you don't have the skills to have a salary position somewhere where you're not making $8.15 an hour. And yes, it's awesome that you're working through the whole pandemic and everything else and you're helping out society. But it doesn't mean you're that much more valuable. You still don't have any sort of incredible skills besides punching on a fucking cash register and bagging my groceries. If you had other skills, you'd be doing other things. You might be that nurse out there that's pulling a 20-hour day, or the doctor that's pulling a week long of emergency room duty. Or you might be some of those white-collar professionals that are sitting on their ass taking calls all day. But you're not. You are a service professional making probably less than $10 an hour. And there's a reason for that. So thank you for what you do, but go fuck yourself for thinking you're special.
And don't get me wrong, everybody plays a part in society. Everyone is important in that way. Almost every job out there is out there for a reason. So you should always feel, you should never be ashamed of the job that you have, or have it affect your self-worth. What you do is important. Every single person out there. But what annoys me is when people think that their job is the only important one out there. I have a whole bunch of, for example, Facebook friends that are truck drivers. Obviously, truck drivers have an important job. Our world works by things going from place to place, and the truck driver is always the final guy that gets it to you. You're like, trains are awesome, but there isn't a train going to the back door of every fucking Walmart. You need truck drivers to move food around. You need truck driver to move supplies around. They're
Jay,
a really important
check
job.
check the line. Juicer's calling, apparently.
Oh, I'm sorry. Try again, buddy. I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention. But the thing is, there's all kinds of important jobs. Yes, you get us the food that we need, but if the farmers didn't grow the food, we wouldn't have it to eat, and it wouldn't matter that you'd have an empty fucking truck going back and forth. Call back the juicer. I'm paying attention now. Oh, no, actually, I'm not. I was kind of on a rant. And there's all kinds of people that consider their job super important just because, but it seems like that's all they focus on. It's like, yes, your job is important, and so are so many other jobs.
And there's levels. Like, I worked at a grocery store when I was 14. I bagged groceries. Sure as hell didn't say, hey, this is going to be my career. Like, there are a lot of jobs out there that are not career positions. They're there to get you entry into a workforce and move from there. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to think of you as a hero if you're in one of those positions. Thank you for what you do, but stop thinking you're as important as a doctor.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, once again, there's nothing wrong with any of those jobs. My entire life were those jobs until my last job. That's one of my problems was I never stayed at a job for probably somewhere between 6 months to a year. For the most part, I would leave because I'd leave if I got annoyed even the least bit. And normally it took about 6 months to a year for them to annoy me. And why would I leave after that? Because I could go fucking next door and get a job paying the same thing. One of the few good things about low pay jobs is you can go get another fucking low pay job anywhere. So I wouldn't put up with shit a lot. It's like, hey man, if you're going to pay me $8 an hour, there's no way I'm going to do that. Put up with shit because I'll go over there and make $8 an hour. Nobody had good benefits or anything like that. I didn't have medical insurance between the age of 17 and 31, I think. Yeah, I just luckily didn't have anything wrong with me during that time period. Or if I did, I fucking walked it off.
Yeah, maybe if you would have had insurance at that time of your life, maybe you wouldn't have so many problems now.
Yeah, possibly. Well, as they're talking about in the chat box, look at the fucking time. Seems like getting a little bit easier to fill these shows, apparently. Either that or I just, losing track of the time more often. I want to thank the OG Army for showing up. We can't do a show without you guys. I want to thank my co-host Ryan. I couldn't do a show without him. And You could probably do a show without me, but we're not going to talk about that right now. You got anything, Big Dalton?
You know, I got two things. First of all, Jay, pay attention to the goddamn chat. Juicer was trying to say he was calling in. You weren't paying attention, so I had to do your goddamn job for you. Get it together.
Sorry.
Other than that, really only one last thing to say, I suppose. Whoop, whoop. No, that's not it. Hold on. No, that's not it either. Oh, I got it. Fuck all y'all.
You guys have a great night. We'll see everybody tomorrow at 6.
Screw you, hippie!